buckle up because this episode is going to change your life. I didn't know about this or understand this for many, many years, but once I did, it really changed my life. Welcome to the Self-Improvement Room podcast. I'm your host, Kristy Davis, and today's episode can be life-changing if you are willing to do the work. This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing that I see holding people back from achieving their goals in life. All right, what am I talking about? I am talking about your internal belief system. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract success effortlessly and then others, like me most of my former life, continuously struggle? And probably one of the best examples of this is when you see those lottery winners win significant amounts of money and then they lose it. And you think, well, how did they go through tens of millions of dollars? Why do people self-sabotage even when they desperately want a better life, a better relationship, a better job? The answer actually lies pretty deep within ourselves. It's not external. It's hidden in the layers of our internal belief system. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Most of our lives, and for some of us, our whole life, we are unaware that we are constantly shaping our external world to match our internal beliefs. When I learned this, I not only saw my own self-destruction, but I saw it around me in family, in friends, in my husband, in my children. We self-sabotage all of the time, and we don't know why we are doing it. We might want wealth, we might want love, health, happiness, but unfortunately, if we don't truly believe that we are worthy or capable of these things, then we will unconsciously act in ways that push them away. And that is what we call self-sabotage. An even bigger discovery for me was that simply setting goals or practicing positive thinking was never going to work. It was never going to be enough. I would write out all of my goals and I would practice positive thinking and I would practice my affirmations and I would do everything that I was told to do on my personal development journey to get me to where I wanted to go in life. And I'm like, why is this shit not working? What am I doing wrong? And here's the thing. Here's what I had to learn. And this is what I'm sharing with you today. To create lasting change, we have to transform our internal belief system at a fundamental level. Because we have an unconscious drive to match our beliefs. Our mind is always working to align our external reality with what we believe is true about ourselves. So whether you realize this or not doesn't really matter. It is happening regardless. And going back to the example of the lottery winner, if they hold deep-seated beliefs about financial struggle or that they've never really had money and they won't ever have money, then they will often find themselves back in the same financial situation within just a few years. Our body unconsciously works really hard to get us back to a place where we feel comfortable and where things feel familiar. Their unconscious mind doesn't have the space to hold the belief that they are truly wealthy. So they make choices, often very subtle and unconscious ones, that ensure their reality matches their internal world. Another example is people getting out of prison When they've been in there for a long time, that is what they are used to. Their internal belief is that this is where I belong and this is who I am. Then as soon as they leave the facility and work to integrate back into society, they will unconsciously do everything they can to get back to where they're comfortable. They might not like prison, I'm absolutely sure, in fact, that they don't. But that's where they feel they should be. And so that is where they will once again end up. And this pattern applies in every area of our life. Someone who doesn't believe they are lovable will unconsciously sabotage relationships. Just have a think about that if you're listening going, that could be me. Someone who believes they are destined for failure will always find a way to fail. And someone who has been conditioned to believe that success is hard and they will always struggle no matter how many opportunities they receive, will always struggle no matter how many opportunities they receive. In my life, I came from a family who relied on welfare. They didn't have a great deal of success, and therefore success to us was hard. Money, finances was hard. And they were the beliefs that I grew up with. Money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have money for that. We can't afford to go on holidays. We can't afford a new car. I can't afford to help you buy a new car. Our internal belief system is kind of like the genie in the bottle. Your wish is my command. The truth is, and again, this was very hard for me to learn, accept, and understand. So I've spent many years studying it so I can understand when I talk about these things what they mean. But the truth is, and again, science is there to back this stuff up. We don't just experience life, we create it through the lens of what we believe about ourselves and the world around us. And when I first heard that concept, I began looking at my energy and what I was doing and what I was feeling and what I was putting out into the world. And that journey took me to quantum physics. Now, I'm not going to bore you. I will keep this part of the podcast brief, but I have taken a deep dive into quantum physics to understand more about energy and how my internal world creates my external world. Now, quantum physics shows us that everything in the universe is energy, including our thoughts and emotions. When we think a certain way, when we feel a certain way, we send out a vibrational frequency, and the universe responds by matching that frequency. Now, if you don't believe that, just think about when you're having a pretty crappy day. Everything goes wrong. You get one red light, you get all of the red lights. You're in a bad mood, everyone else seems like they're in a bad mood, or they're just trying to piss you off more. It's not coincidence. We feel a certain way, we send that vibrational frequency out, and the universe responds by matching that frequency because everything is energy. And when people start to talk about manifestation, a lot of people start to think, magic, it's like a whole heap of crap. And I got to tell you, my mind has been there, absolutely. But when I realized, understood, and researched the science behind it, I started to understand that it was a whole lot more than that. And then I've spent the last 8 years of my personal development journey testing it out. And every time without fail, it works, which is actually frustrating for me because people say, well, if you can just manifest the life you want, why doesn't everybody have what they want? I got to tell you, it ain't that easy. It really isn't. If you think it's that easy to be happy, like positive and enjoying life and producing high vibrations, give it a go. Have a try. It's not that easy. It really isn't. And that's why everybody's not doing it. We are all manifesting, 100%. We're just not realizing we're manifesting the life that we have created. We're not realizing that the vibration or the signal that we're putting out is what's coming back to us. Because nobody tells us about it. When they do, we don't believe it. Because it sounds like magic. It sounds not true. And I get that. I absolutely do. But that's why I've done my own homework. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. If you try to manifest abundance while you're holding on to beliefs of scarcity, your dominant energy is scarcity. Your main message is scarcity. And that's what the universe responds to. It doesn't listen to words. It responds to energy. And if you're anything like me, you're sitting there thinking, oh, that can be bad. I have struggled a lot in the past with my energy, with keeping it positive, with keeping it optimistic. And even now, when I know what is at stake, I still have to work my ass off to keep that energy high, to keep the vibration high. Because I know when I don't, everything around me starts to fall apart. Everything around me goes wrong. Everything around me annoys me, frustrates me. And I just know that it's me putting this energy out and I'm the one that has to change it. To truly shift your life, you must shift who you believe you are at your core. And while manifesting and the universe and energy is another topic for another day, I just think it's important to start understanding the way you are unconsciously shaping your life. Because whether you choose to believe it or not, you are manifesting your life. Your life is an exact representation of what you think and feel on a daily basis. And yes, I know that sucks. And yes, I know you probably want to yell at me for it because I've been there. I've done it. And I'm not on this podcast. I'm not hosting this podcast to make shit up, to make people feel better. I research what I talk about. I'm passionate about what I talk about. So if I bring this to you, I'm not saying you have to believe me, but I am saying it is worth researching this for yourself because I've done it, I've lived it, I continue to live it, and I continue to see it daily in my own life, in my husband's life, in my kids' life, in my friends' lives, in my family's lives. I can talk to somebody for 10 minutes and know how their life is for them, just based on the things that they say and the energy that they put out. This stuff is really strong, it's really powerful, but it's so worth knowing and understanding. Now, I guess the question is, how do you change your internal belief system permanently? The problem is, it's not about quick fixes or temporary motivation. If it was, I would have been better ages ago, like years ago. I tried all of that stuff. It doesn't work. It requires deep, intentional work. And that's why most people don't do it. Because most people will not commit to the changes and do not want to step outside of their comfort zone to change their lives. But that's what it takes. So when you ask me, well, if this is the case, why doesn't everybody have a great life? Why doesn't everybody just manifest a great life? The answer is because it's not that easy and it takes a shit ton of work and commitment. And most people will not do it. There are a lot of people who don't know about it, of course, but even those that know about it aren't interested in trying to figure it out or work it out. They're just happy to consistently repeat the same patterns and then consistently ask why their life is the way it is. Don't they say the definition of crazy is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result? That's kind of how I lived my life for the first 2 years of my personal development journey. It took me a long time to realize that this is a lifestyle change. It's not a once-off kind of deal where you fix it once and tick it off and move on. It's not. It's a commitment. Now, changing your belief system requires that commitment. It requires deep intentional work. So let's look at some actionable steps that you can take to begin transforming your beliefs and turn your life around. So firstly, you need to identify the limiting beliefs. That's the first step, awareness. And so many people don't even get to that step. So many of us are not aware of our thoughts, of our feelings, of what's going on within ourselves. So I want you to start paying attention to the beliefs that drive your decisions and your reactions. Ask yourself, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about love or success and happiness? See, in my life, for some reason, I'm not sure entirely why, but I've never considered having an issue or a problem in relationships. I've never considered that it might be hard to have a relationship. I've never considered that somebody might leave me. And because I haven't thought about relationships ever in that way, I've never really struggled in relationships. Yes, I've been divorced, but that was a choice of mine, and that was only through growth. So I've never really struggled with relationships. Money, on the other hand, success, happiness, I had to change my beliefs about all of those. The next question you need to ask yourself is, where do these come from? Is it family? Do you have parents saying money doesn't grow on trees, or saying money is the root of all evil? Is it culture, or is it from past experiences? Have you had bad relationships in the past where you've been cheated on, where you haven't been treated well, where you've been completely in love with somebody and then you're blindsided when they leave? These are the things that start to shape your belief system, and we don't realize it at the time. And the third thing to ask yourself is, are these beliefs serving me, or are they keeping me stuck? Sometimes that's a hard question for me to answer. I know there are times in my life where a belief isn't serving me well and it's keeping me stuck, but I feel like I really want to be in that system. That is where we have to have that awareness, and we have to start questioning ourselves. Is this really serving me? Is this getting me to my end goal? Is this serving my life purpose? The other thing you can do is journal or work with a coach or a therapist that can help you uncover hidden limiting beliefs that are probably running your life. So they are all of the steps in step number 1, identifying your limiting beliefs. Moving on to step number 2, and I should have said step number 1 and all of the points, point 1, 2, 3, and 4. Step number 2 is to challenge and replace those beliefs. So once you have identified your limiting beliefs, you have to challenge them. First, is this belief absolutely true? Honestly, not self-sabotaging answers. Ask yourself truly, is this belief absolutely true? Does every single person on the planet really hate me? And you should be answering truthfully, not what you just think might be true. Point number 2, are there examples of people who have proven this belief wrong? So if you are, I think actually one of the most known examples of this is the 4-minute mile, which was once thought of as impossible to do. And then one person breaks it, and next minute, everybody can run the 4-minute mile. So ask yourself, are there examples of people who have proven this belief wrong? And point number 3 under step number 2 is, what new belief would serve me better? And think about what new belief could serve you better, would make you feel better, could be true. So, for example, if your belief is, I'm not good enough to be successful, challenge that belief by finding evidence to the contrary. Then replace it with a more empowering belief like, I am consistently learning and growing and success is inevitable. Yeah, it's hard. It is hard. And you will feel like you're lying to yourself. But maybe you're already lying to yourself anyway. Neuroplasticity is an incredible thing that we are learning more and more about. And it basically says you can teach old dogs new tricks. Our brains are malleable. They can be changed. They can be rewired. And they can be rewired any which way you want them to be. And we're going to talk about reprogramming our subconscious mind in step 3. Your subconscious mind is where your deepest beliefs live. And to change them, you need repetition and you need emotional engagement. So the first little easy thing you can try is visualization. Now this only works, and I'm going to say this again, this only works if you engage your senses. You must feel the emotion. So imagine yourself already living as the person who holds your new belief. What does that feel like? What does that look like? What does it sound like? Because without those feelings and with only the thought, with only the visual, it's not going to change anything. We need our brains to change. We need our subconscious to change. So we need to feel it. We can't just see it. And I talked about affirmations earlier, and I probably made them sound like they don't work. And in a lot of cases, they don't. But again, if you can speak your new beliefs out loud daily with conviction, so for example, I am worthy of success and opportunities flow to me, and then you marry those with your visualizations, you start to engage those senses, those feelings that really start to change your life. And if you struggle with that, then you can try what I tried. And that is hypnosis and meditation. Guided meditations and hypnosis actually help to bypass the conscious mind to instill those new beliefs at a deeper level. I now do a lot of work, or a lot of my own work, when I'm going off to sleep, aside from in meditations, of course. Meditation is actually one of the most powerful ways to change your internal belief system. And again, there's a lot of medical reviews around this. There is a lot of science around this. I cannot state the importance and the impact of meditation. And again, some days I still don't do it, even though I know it is the one single thing that is going to change my life completely. So I just want to reiterate that this stuff isn't easy, but it can be done. Or should I say, I don't know if I should say it's not easy. Maybe I should say it's not simple. Either way, it can be done, and we need to focus on what we want in our lives and allow that to give us the motivation to change, to work on changing. And step number 4 is taking aligned action. So it's one thing to visualize and say your affirmations and meditate, but if you don't take aligned action, then nothing's going to work. The most powerful way to solidify a belief is through action. And it's our daily actions that actually create our lives. So if you want to believe that you are successful, you have to start acting like a successful person. If you want to believe that you're confident, do things that push you slightly outside of your comfort zone. The amount of people I have spoken to that say, oh no, I'm not doing that. And I say, why? Because I could just not do that. I am not confident enough to do that. And I say, well, why don't you push yourself slightly out of your comfort zone? No way, I like my comfort zone. And that's the problem, isn't it? We like our comfort zone. And that's why I say the comfort zone is the most dangerous place to live. Because you're not moving. You're not even moving backwards. You're not moving forwards. You are just staying. And nothing changes in the comfort zone. So if you want to believe you are confident, if you want to believe you are successful, you're going to have to do things outside of your comfort zone. That's what taking aligned action means. Taking action that are aligned with your future goals. So ask yourself, what would the version of me who has already got what I desire to have do? What would they do? Then go and do that. Then go and be that. Even small actions, when done consistently, reinforce new beliefs. So you don't have to take massive action. It's just consistent action. And step number 5, surround yourself with reinforcement. Your environment also plays a huge role in maintaining and changing beliefs. Surround yourself with people who reflect the beliefs you want to adopt. Listen to podcasts, read books, and follow mentors who embody the mindset that you're trying to cultivate. Because if you are spending time around people who have a negative mindset, or they have limiting beliefs, or they allow those kinds of thoughts and beliefs to influence them, then it's going to be much harder to shift your beliefs. Be intentional about what you consume mentally, emotionally, and socially. And this message is as much for me as it is for you guys. Because again, I don't have any tattoos, but some days I think to myself, I really need this stuff tattooed on my body because I forget this shit like daily. And I have to remind myself. And I have to consistently engage in the environment and with the type of people that I want to or I strive to be like. So your environment plays a huge role in maintaining and changing your beliefs. Be intentional. Be very intentional about what you consume on social media, about friends you spend time with, about how you emotionally and socially engage, because it's very, very important to your overall outcome. All right, let's look at the 5 steps again. Step number 1, identify those limiting beliefs. Be aware. What are they? Ask yourself. And then once you are able to identify the beliefs that are limiting your capacity to move forward, step number 2 is to challenge and replace them. That can take a while. So again, for example, I'm not good enough to be successful. Challenge that belief. Find evidence to show that you have been successful before. Replace it with something more empowering, like I am consistently learning and growing and I will be successful. Number 3 was reprogram your subconscious mind through visualization, affirmations, hypnosis, and meditation. Number 4 is take aligned action. You can't do all of those things and then just sit on them and not take any action. You have to take action that is aligned with your purpose, with your goals, with what you want in your future, with who you want to be. And number 5, surround yourself with reinforcement, positive reinforcement. People that make you feel positive or uplifted. People that don't consume your energy. And not just people, social media, technology, just things in the environment in general. Now let's look at, lastly, your path forward. Your internal belief system, remember, is the foundation of your life. So if you want to change your external reality, you have to transform what you believe on a deeper level. Otherwise, you will consistently feel incongruent, which means your internal beliefs are conflicting with your external behaviors or your external beliefs and what you're saying and what you're doing. They're not matching what you feel on a deeper unconscious level. So it is really important to understand that you have to transform what you actually believe about yourself on an unconscious level. And when you start to shift your identity and your internal narrative, your external world will just naturally follow. It's just the beginning. Over the next few months, we are going to dive a little deeper into manifestation and how it really works and why many people struggle with it, why many people don't even believe it, how you can align your energy with your reality and achieve what you truly desire. Now, for now, we're just going to start observing our own patterns. What are your beliefs creating in your life? And more importantly, what and when are you ready to change? Because you already have what you need within you. There you go. That is episode number 23 of the Self-Improvement Room. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you know when a new episode is available, because things are going to get exciting. And until next time, this is the Self-Improvement Room. I'm your host, Kristy Davis. Stay safe and stay well.